I would like for you all to meet the special guy I have in for training. His name is Ricochet, and he is a 7-year-old gelding from the same gather as my 2 Devil's Garden geldings. The problem is, he's projecting out a little bit of scary energy and showing signs that he may not play nice, so I've been enlisted to gentle him down. Right away you will notice he put his ears back when I approached, which indicates to me that he is more scared than he is curious about me at the moment. His body and face showed tension, tight lips, flared nostrils, and a rigid stance. With this much fear, you would expect a horse to turn and run, but this one is standing his ground, so I need to be sure to time my releases to when he steps back or turns away in order to encourage a more passive response from him. The first thing I teach any horse I work with is to yield their hindquarters away from me and face up when I lean to the side. This is my failsafe to ensure I will not be kicked, and also teaches the horse to look to me for help when they are scared or uncertain. I also use this cue to teach leading and interrupt pulling and sitting back, and disengaging the hind forces the horse to put most of their weight on their front end, making it impossible to strike or rear. This cue is invaluable. Ricochet is already learning to face up when I approach him, and I am sure to step back and give him space when he does. You never want to approach a horse that may feel threatened by you in a straight, direct path, as this can seem like a challenge to them. I keep my body angled slightly away to the side. You don't want to be fearful in your approach, but you should also avoid coming across as too assertive, or you will scare the horse. I am watching for him to turn his face away from me, which is horse language for, I mean no harm. I reciprocate by also turning away, and then leaving with my back turned to communicate that I wish to end the conversation. On my next approach, he makes it known that he was not ready to end our conversation just yet, and my disinterest has sparked his curiosity. He is now reaching his nose out towards me while also maintaining a passive tone by shifting slightly away from me. I will again turn away, but won't end this conversation just yet. We now see him starting to relax and come out of fight or flight mode. Stretching towards his legs and licking and chewing are our big signals here. We have officially transitioned from fear to curiosity. I would like to stay a safe distance away, so we are going to begin working on touch from a distance using a long lunge whip. I'm going to have him smell the whip and investigate it before ever touching him with it. He seems pretty unsure about it, and when it moves past his shoulder, he thinks I'm pushing him away, so I ask him to face up and not leave me. We're going to now begin the bonding process with some hand feeding, so he begins to see me as a friend. He is cautious and jumpy at first, expecting a trick, but I do not reach out to touch him at all this session, and he is starting to trust me just a little bit. He has now started nickering to me when he sees me, so believe me, food is a powerful tool. This horse is so calm. The whole time I'm dragging equipment in and setting up to film, he's just standing over there napping. We start the session with the usual greeting. I approach, he turns his head to the side, I turn my head to the side, he turns back towards me, and I turn back to him. Now I will reach out in an effort to connect, but he still turns away, so we're going to play a different game. I try to bring the whip up close to his shoulder, which sends him off at a trot to get away. I'm just going to follow him around and project a little bit of energy to his hind end to see if he will stop and face me. I lean to the right and push towards his hip until he turns to face up. I then retreat and give him a minute. I try again, this time from his right side, and he is startled at this and trots off again. I actually did touch him with the whip that time, so I'm going to softly lay the whip across his back and follow until he stops. I'm not hitting him or asking him to move. I want him to stand still when I touch him, so I remove the whip and back off when he stands still. He is a quick learner, and although he walked off when I touched him again, he did stop after a few steps. I want to make sure he knows that he can get the touching to stop, which puts him in control of his fears. He's not very touch sensitive, so I can progress quickly without scaring him. Notice his ears are now forward and his face is not as tensed as it was the last session. I'm going to move the whip all over his body, seeking out spots that elicit a fear response from him. I need to be sure that he will not kick or bite when touched, especially on his legs or in his blind spots. We have found some sensitive spots. He seems to be particularly upset about his poll, ears, and face being touched. It will be impossible to halter him, and he will be extremely oppositional to pull pressure if we don't get this sorted out. He's already accustomed to wearing a cord around his throat, so I will loop the whip around where his neck tag sits, and maintain that as our neutral whip position, as this does not cause him distress. I can rub him in this location without getting a reaction. As soon as I move the whip up towards his ears, he expresses his annoyance. I rub until he stops reacting and return to neutral. I repeat this process all over his ears and poll. In no time, his lower lip relaxes more. He licks and chews and fidgets and begins to watch me with curiosity. I make sure I move the whip in every direction past both eyes and all parts of his face. He did fantastic, and we avoided any possible dangerous behavior. Next, we will work on touching with hands and haltering. Thanks for watching.